Breaking through the divide. Emi Tanimoto. Have you ever been in a conflict before? I'm sure if you have lived with another human being, even if they were your soulmate, you have been at odds. At some point in your life, you will disagree, and probably over something truly ridiculous. In my family, I am constantly in conflict with whoever ate the last spoon of ice cream. When we get into these small conflicts, how do we resolve them? Well, my mother has always taught me to be forgiving and understanding. I think that everyone has been told that holding resentment towards someone isn't beneficial for anyone. So, although I want to throw a fit in my brother for eating my helping of ice cream, I forgive him, and in return, he buys me another ice cream. Forgiveness and understanding can solve simple issues, like my family's battle for the last spoon of vanilla ice cream. But what happens when the conflicts are much deeper? In our world today, conflicts are daily, even an hourly occurrence. In politics, religion, race, and foreign affairs, there are endless disagreements. Even the act of wearing a mask to protect us and others have become politicized, a cause for controversy. Every time I watch the news, it disappoints me to see people tormenting each other for having different opinions. The divisions in our world have gotten so severe that people with different views on certain topics often seem unable to have any relationship at all. How did this happen? Why has our world become so polarized? For my own part, I believe that this is happening due to the lack of empathy. According to the dictionary, empathy is defined as the ability to understand another person's experience/feelings. Are you able to feel empathy for others? A couple of years ago, I spent a summer in China. Since I had gone to China many times because that is where my mother is from, I was pretty familiar with the environment. As I was chatting with my cousin in front of my grandparents' house, a random Chinese man suddenly began yelling some derogatory and belittling words in Japanese at me. I initially thought that I had done something wrong, but after hearing the contents of his outbursts, I knew that it was not something I personally did to him. I realized that he was yelling at me because of my nationality. The anger and disgust he threw at my country left me extremely scared, but also confused and frustrated. Since my family and his family were familiar with one another, my mother and I went to his family's house to confront him about what he had done. My mother and I went with an unbiased mind to try to understand his side of the story. Although it was difficult to have a conversation with him at first, as I got to hear his side of the story, I was able to understand the frustrations and motives for his actions. He also listened to my perspective with an open mind, and we were truly able to understand and empathize with each other. From our conversation, I was able to realize that what he had done was not purely his fault. In our society, we're often taught different values depending on our location, our nationality, our gender, and our class. Our perceptions on a certain topic inevitably vary according to these factors. This point seems quite obvious, however, when we consider about the divisions in our world today. We often forget that the opposing side have their own histories and experiences. We should not give credit to ignorance, but we should not undermine people's individual experiences. We need to be able to hear other people's experiences in order for our world to have peace. In my situation, the man was being derogatory and discriminatory towards the Japanese because of the complex history of Japanese relations with China and because of the way he was brought up. If any of us were in his position, we would probably have reacted the same way. At the end of my conversation with the Chinese man, we had become friends. Without the power of empathy, our world will become further divided. Empathy has an extraordinary ability to transform the way in which we understand and resolve conflicts. So, the next time you encounter a conflict or disagreement, try to understand the opposing side's story. You do not have to agree with their viewpoint, but just the act of trying to empathize will lead to an environment where peace is more probable. I would like to end with a saying inspired by Buddhist thought. In separateness lies the world's great misery. In compassion lies the world's true strength. Thank you for listening.